Now 88 days left until the presidential election. Both campaigns looking for support from Wall Street. And joining us right now is Lydia Moynihan, New York Post financial correspondent. Good morning to you.
Great to see you on this Summer Friday.
It's Summer Friday. What do you think is going to happen here? And what are you hearing? What's everybody telling you?
An open-ended question. Look, yes. I mean, Wall Street is all in on Kamala Harris. And what's interesting is they kind of feel a sense of responsibility for having her in there in the first place because they credit themselves correctly or incorrectly for Biden's ouster, because obviously donors halting donations was a key part of that. So now they feel like she's their person. Do I think?
You think all of them?
I'm not going to paint with a broad brush. Look, Wall Street extends to Florida, to Ken Griffin, to Steve Schwartz. But you look at some of the bigger folks like a Blair Efron and Mark Lazary. There is a concerted effort led by financiers on Wall Street to, and again, not a lot of time left. But we are looking at an effort. People want to donate in October. They want to donate in September to really sustain that momentum. And a lot of these folks met her, like a Lazary, like an Efron, back when she was running for president in 2020. So they feel that they've known her, even though she's newer to the national stage, is the top of the ticket. They feel they got to know her over the past few years, develop a relationship with her the last time she ran for president. And that's continued.
Here's the second part to the question then. There's been a frustration, as you know, especially among Wall Street Democrats, about the Biden administration's regulatory regime. All these bankers who can't do these mergers and other deals and things like that. This group of people, who you say are all in now on Harris, would love for her to tack to the center, at least on regulatory issues. Do you think that she will, and how is that influence
and those
playing?
Tax cuts are sunsetting next year as well. That's front and center of everyone's mind. Because a lot of these people feel like and this is painting with a broad brush, some of these financiers feel they've known her for long enough. They feel confident that she's a little malleable. And it's a fascinating question. I've asked them this as well, is if you look at her time in the Senate, she had a more progressive voting record than almost anyone. And you would never see them rallying behind Bernie Sanders. But I think because they feel like they have a relationship with her at this point, and they point to her time as a DA and somebody who's building relationships with people in California, they feel confident at some level that she's going to maybe have a lighter touch on regulation. It's an interesting situation. She is a candidate where sort of like a Rorschach test. People see what they want to see. They can look at somebody like her and see she's very progressive, but then people on Wall Street say, no, she's very reasonable. She gets it. She knows what the private sector is. I know her. I like her. I've known her for years. And they're confident that she's the best person for the job.
It's almost a benefit that Joe Biden stepped aside so late in the game.
Yes.
So that there's less time to actually flesh out what Harris stands for and whether she's just an extension of Biden or she is her own person. What is your sense? I mean, you said Rorschach test, and so we don't really know. Do we know that does she like Lena Khan? Does she, it's...
So that's a big thing, is we are saying, I mean, Lena Khan is obviously a very controversial person. We've seen Reid Hoffman, some of these people who are very publicly calling for Khan's ouster. Like you mentioned, I think she is just trying to be really cautious and not say anything too dramatic either way. And I think she's kind of leaning into the fact, she hasn't done an interview yet. I think she's embracing this honeymoon phase that people have. And you're right. The fact that she is so new to the game, when you juxtapose her with Biden, who was, at this very senile, quite a bit older, she is young and vigorous. And I think people are just excited about all of that.
Is your sense that she's somebody that Wall Street ultimately, that the Bill Ackmans of the world, now Bill Ackman's not turning back, meaning Bill Ackman said, remember, because the reason I'm going with this is Bill Ackman originally said, Biden should step down. Now, he started with the Biden should step down, not I'm voting for Trump, but just Biden should step down, there should be some other alternative. And then he moved to Trump, and then the question is, but there was a bunch of people who moved that way. Are any of those people moving back? Maybe that's the way I'd ask it.
I don't think that they're going to publicly backtrack in a really aggressive way. I think they had a moment where they were at the RNC where you saw mostly a lot of Silicon Valley types. They felt like J.D. Vance was their guy because he was a venture capitalist. Now I think some of that excitement has dimmed a little bit, but I think these people feel they're too far into the Trump campaign to take a step back. And I also think at this point, you always want to bet on a winning horse. And so if you've already made an investment in one campaign, you kind of want to stick with it. And of course, all of these Wall Street guys dream of one day growing up and becoming Treasury Secretary. And I think Likewise, on the Trump side, they're eager to push their agenda with crypto.
Well, that's where I was going to go. I was going to go crypto next.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Treasury Secretary.
Well, that was going to be my.
I think that's the.
That was going to be my finale. But
okay. I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No.
We can do a little 1-2 punch.
Okay, the 1-2 on crypto first. She apparently is reaching out, or at least people on her team reaching out to people in crypto land who had moved to Trump. Is that is there any movement there, or is that a self-defeating?
So it's interesting. There was a bit of a kerfuffle because, as you know, Trump spoke at the Bitcoin conference.
Right.
One of her staffers, had reached out to the organizers of the conference about her speaking. And so there was a lot of hope that she's going to make an appearance. Whether or not that was because of a campaign conflict or what it is, she wasn't able to go and attend in person, but there was interest. There's also been an effort among Congressman Ro Khanna, Scaramucci, some of these other Democratic pro-crypto types to kind of make it a bigger tent party. Kamala hasn't really embraced that yet at this point, in the way that obviously Republicans have, where they've literally put it in their platform that they want to be pro-crypto. Understand that there was this Zoom meeting that was held that was trying to get people, Democrats and crypto types on board. It didn't go super smoothly, so I think that's sort of a concerted effort, but I don't know that that's really landed.